Problem number 4. Three vectors A, B, and C are shown in the figure below. Find one vector, the magnitude and direction that will have the same effect as the three vectors shown. So, ang hinahanap po dito is the resultant vector. So, if we are going to use the standard angle, what we have here is, this is 100 kips at 37 degrees, so meaning this is 37 degrees. So vector B is 100 kips at 150 degrees, so it means that it is 150 degrees from the x-axis, which is the degree 0. 150 degrees. Now for this 80 kips, 233 degrees, it is measured from 0 counterclockwise, and that's 233 degrees. Now, if we are going to make use of the standard angle is measured from 0 degrees counterclockwise. So it's counterclockwise measured from positive x-axis or the 0 degree. For the x components, default for this is we will be using the function cosine, and for the y component we will be using the function sine. So solving for the x components of the resultants, we have here Rx. This is equal to summation of the horizontal component Fx. So in here, since standard angle yung ginagamit natin, hindi na natin i-consider ito whether the component is positive or negative. And if we are going to recall from our trigonometry, so we have this acts. Ano ibig sabihin ng acts na to? In quadrant 1, all angles are positive. In quadrant 2, only the sine and the cosecants are positive. In quadrant 3, only the tangent and the cotangent is positive. And in quadrant 4, only the cosine and the secant is positive. Now, so meaning, so since x component ang pinag-uusapan natin dito and we will be using cosine, saan tayo may positive cosine? We only have positive cosine for quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. No? So, if standard angle yung ginagamit natin, meaning, if I am going to say that Rx is equal to our vector A, so that's 100 cosine 37, as I have said, we will be using cosine, plus vector B, that's 100 cosine 150. Plus yung ginamit ko dito. And then, plus the vector C, that's 80 cosine 233 degrees. No? So, kung titingnan natin dito, bakit plus yung ginamit ko at hindi ko kinonsider yung sign natin, whether it is positive or negative? Now, as you can see here, the cosine of 150 can be found in quadrant 2. Yung cosine po natin dyan ay negative kasi sabi ko nga, yung cosine natin ay positive lang dito sa quadrant 1 and quadrant 4. So, etong value ng cosine 150 ay magne-negative. So, magma-minus lang rin yung kanyang component at this part. And the cosine in quadrant 3, so that's 233, ay magne-negative din. And this component here will be negative. Kasi kung ang nangyari, halimbawa, dito, ginamit ko minus, kasi sabi ko, this is directed to the left. And minus, kasi this is directed to the left, then yung x component. Now, itong cosine na to ay magne-negative, ang mangyayari doon, nag-minus ka doon, magne-negative yung value na to. Nag-minus ka doon, magne-negative yung value na to. So, magiging, itong part na to, magiging positive, at itong part na to, magiging positive. Magiging mali na yung sagot natin. Now, computing for the value of the Rx is equal to 100 cosine 37 plus 100 cosine 150 degrees plus 80 cosine 233 degrees. And we have here negative 54.88 kips. So we have negative 54.88 kips. Since this is negative, it only suggests that Rx is 54.88 kips directed to the left. Now for the y component of the resultant, Ry, this is equal to summation of the forces along the vertical. And from here, as I have said earlier, since we will be using the standard angle, y component will be using the sine function. So we have here Ry is equal to 100 sine of 37 degrees for vector A. For vector B, that is 100 sine of 150 degrees. And for vector C, that is 80 sine of 233 degrees. Now, babalikan natin yung acts. It says here that all angles in quadrant 1 are positive. So meaning, this is in quadrant 1, this will be positive component. And all sine and cosecant in quadrant 2 is positive. Since this is in quadrant 2, this will be positive component. As we can see here, our component for vector A is upward and for vector B is also upward. So this would be positive and this would be positive component. While this 80 sine of 233, since it is in quadrant 3, and as we can see here, only the tangent and the cotangent are positive in quadrant 3, so meaning this component will be negative. And this is directed downward since this is negative. Okay, so solving for the value of the Ry. So we have here Ry is equal to 100 sine of 37 degrees plus 100 sine of 150 degrees plus 80 sine of 233 degrees. And we have 46.29 kips. So we have here 46.29 kips since we have positive here, meaning that is just directed upward. We have Rx directed to the left, and we have Ry directed upward. So from this, we would have the resultants are directed to quadrant 2. And of course, this will be our direction theta x. Solving for the value of the resultants r is equal to the square root of rx squared plus ry squared. Rx is 54.88 kips and ry is 46.29 kips. So we have here r is equal to the square root of 54.88 squared plus 46.29 squared. And we have here 71.8 kips. So we have 71.8 kips. Now solving for the direction, since We'll be using this format as you can see here. For the vector A, it is 100 kips at an angle of 37 degrees. So we will be solving for the standard angle. So the standard angle is measured from 0 degrees counterclockwise. And this theta is our direction. So solving for the theta, first we will be solving the theta x. So theta x is equal to opposite over adjacent, so that's tangent. So we have your arctangent of ry is the opposite, so that's 46.29, and rx is adjacent, that's 54.88. So solving for theta x, we have arctangent of 46.29 over 54.88. And we have here 40.15 degrees. So solving for the theta, we have theta is equal to, since this is a straight line, this is 180 degrees. So we have 180 degrees minus this theta x here will give the value of our theta. So minus theta x, that's 40.15 degrees. Solving for theta, and we have here 180 minus 40.15. And we have 139.85. So we have here 139.85 degrees. So for our final answer, we have the resultants are is equal to 71.8 kips at 139.85 degrees. And this is our answer.